To most people, certainly his fans, Raine Maida is known as the lead singer of Canadian rock band Our Lady Peace. But last night he was honored for work of a very different kind.
Please join us in welcoming War Child Canada founder who has helped raise millions of dollars for our organization, put us on the map, and helped us become exactly who we are right now. Raine.
That's Maida receiving the Founders Award at War Child's Gala. Over the past 20 years, Maida has also traveled the world as an activist, advocating for children and families in war-torn countries, most recently visiting Afghanistan. Earlier today, he sat down with Ian to discuss that work and what it has meant to him.
Raine, really nice to finally sit down and meet you.
It's great to be here.
Let me ask you about Afghanistan. What was that like being there?
I mean, in a broader scope, the ability to see War Child develop from this small idea in 2000 when I first met Dr. Samantha Nutt and Dr. Eric Hoskins into a global NGO powerhouse is really inspiring. The programs that were started there 20 years ago from a concert that we did called Beyond Borders, they're still running, you know, and at a time, specifically with Afghanistan, where the rest of the world's kind of turned its back on it, and the Taliban have taken complete control of that country. War Child, those programs are lifelines for thousands and thousands of children and families. It's incredibly inspiring.
And so you got to see a part of the world, particularly at this time, that virtually none of the people watching will have had an opportunity to do. So describe for us what you saw.
The people are incredible. Like a lot of these war zones that War Child operates, when you get to a chance to go on the ground and meet the people there, they're incredibly resilient, especially the kids. You know, I mean, War Child's mission has always been to provide, you know, safety, education, now healthcare, and also the chance for these kids to dream in these times and moments of kind of unspeakable sadness. You know, Afghanistan, the government there has destroyed all of the musical instruments. That alone, like in terms of the oppressive nature of how they operate, for a musician, obviously for me, that isn't, it's almost unimaginable. The fact that, you know, 3 years ago, females were nurses, doctors studying at university. Now their education has to stop at grade 6. These are incredibly oppressive tactics, but War Child is continuing to provide hope, which is, like I said, incredibly inspiring.
It's so interesting you use that word hope, because as you were talking about the opportunities that have been just pulled away, particularly from women, but things like musical instruments being destroyed, I thought to myself, it sounds so bleak. And so were there times there where you just felt like there is no cause for optimism at all?
Honestly, Ian, yeah, and you hear it from the people where that light at the end of the tunnel sometimes is incredibly dim. But I think once you lose hope, you're in a very dark place. And so War Child is able to continue and kind of elevate that light in a very tangible way. You see it in, you know, we sat with multiple, not classrooms, but the programs, you know, different rooms of kids, you know, teen boys going through psychosocial exercises, women learning, you know, still continuing computer science kind of courses, and the ability to keep going is what's important. And so that, there's a great quote about just staying in the work. And I think that's what War Child is allowing them, is to stay in the work, and with that comes hope.
I don't have to tell you this, we live in cynical times. So if there's anybody who's watching who's thinking, why should I be listening to this rock star? And why should I be giving money to a Canadian organization? And who knows where that money's going to end up? What do you say to them?
I mean, the reason why my wife and I have dedicated so much time to War Child since really the inception is because of their mission statement. It is about transparency. You know, 97 cents of every dollar goes to a program. You know, Dr. Sam Nutt is essentially, in my mind, literally a Canadian hero. What she's accomplished on very small budgets, and now that's growing. The fact that they partner with locals. In Afghanistan, there's 300 local Afghanis running War Child across the country and in those regions. It's just spectacular the way they're able to build sustainable programming.
And I'll end with this. We also live in a time where a lot of people here in Canada are having a really rough go of it. So occasionally you'll hear people say, we need to take care of people at home, and we can't solve the world's problems. You saw some of the world's problems. You saw the challenges that young people in Afghanistan are dealing with. And so let's end with that. For someone who's thinking, why does that matter to us here? Why does it?
I think you can do both. I think we need to do both. I feel that deeply in my heart, and I have the privilege of being able to go to these countries and some of these conflict zones of war child and speak to the kids. And what I see is those kids are not much different than my children. You know, my teenage boys, they have the same aspirations. We sat in a room with a bunch of, kind of teenage boys who were learning computer science. They're on Fiverr, they're on Upwork. They're actually getting these same contracts. They can't get paid for them because of the banking system is controlled by the Taliban, but they have the same hopes and dreams and aspirations as my children. So when you see it in such a tangible light, you realize that we need to do both.
Yeah, really interesting to hear your perspective. And a little bit later on, we're going to talk about entirely different topics, your music and a book you and your wife have written.
Amazing.
Raine, let's talk about Our Lady Peace. First of all, the Grey Cup performance.
Yeah.
Somebody sound the alarm. Thank you, everyone, to the Grey Cup.
What could be more Canadian than that? What was it like to be on stage there?
It was a moment in time. I look at these opportunities now. It's just so grateful, and the Grey Cup is such a Canadian tradition. It was amazing to be there.
And you're heading out to the Vancouver area for a couple of shows?
Yeah, we have last two shows of 2026. We just announced a U.S. tour that starts in March, so it's been quite busy these last couple of years for OLP.
Is it tough to get the band together and do like just two shows in Vancouver as opposed to getting into the headspace of, okay, big tour, this is what my life is going to be like for the next few weeks?
No, I mean, I think we all have a different opinion on what Our Lady Peace is today. I don't think the longevity of a band is necessarily measured in time. It's more measured in kind of hearts and feelings that echo in the songs. And so the opportunity to play these days is just an absolute gift.
Who comes out to see you?
It's a mix of fans. We have fans that have been there since the Navid days from the beginning, and we've had these different moments through the arc of Our Lady Peace that kind of timestamp certain fans, and it's amazing that. And now with 30 years on, you see these different demos kind of integrate, and it's a beautiful thing.
Let's talk about a completely different art form. You and your wife, Chantal Karviezek, have written a book.
We have.
And it's a book about, from what I've read, it's not coming out till May, but the description of it, intensely personal.
Yeah, it's just really, we filmed a documentary in 2019 on the making of our first album together, and we filmed it all. And when we sat in the editing room, there was no way that we could just show, hey, this song was born in this hotel room on this little French island, and it's just great. It was like, no, it came from this fight that happened beforehand. So we showed kind of the scars and the rawness that led up to these songs being born. And the book is kind of the same. I think it's this really unique intersection between art and vulnerability. And at this point in our lives, I think Bowie said it, like, for art to be anything good, it has to be somewhat courageous. And we're trying to follow that path.
Well, and so people who are watching obviously haven't read the book. It's not coming out until May. Give me a sense of what's in it in terms of that rawness and the things that you reveal.
Yeah, I mean, we, not unlike Our Lady Peace, Chantal and I have been in a relationship for 25 plus years now. It's not about perfection. It's about, progress. And I think we're at a point in our lives where the ability, or we've learned the ability to share that is not something that we're shy to do anymore, but it helps normalize the fact that relationships are work, and the creative And I think you have to be creative to be in a successful relationship as well. And so we lean on our creativity to do that. But it takes work, and that's a good thing.
You know, normally in an interview like this, I would be really, really reluctant to ask about a personal moment. But here you are writing a book all about personal moments. So can you give us an example of something that people would read about that maybe would surprise them about how deep you go?
Wow. You know, there's a moment that happened in the documentary that is still one of the most profound moments as an artist and in a relationship, where we had this, we were on this island. We were 3,000 miles away from our children. Chantal was very stressed out about being that far. Our children were a little bit younger. And the pressure of trying to make our first album. We're in this hotel room, it's cold. We're on this little French island. Everyone had left the island. So we're kind of like one of the few people there. There's 2 restaurants open. And we were kind of arguing and going through some relationship stuff. And Chantal starts writing this piano piece, kind of more therapeutically for herself, just to balance herself out, because she was really upset. I hear the piece and I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea. And she's like, come on, this is not what we're doing right now. But it evolved into this therapeutic kind of discovery, where we wrote this song called I Can Change. And it was all captured on film in the moment, and it's in the doc, and we talk about it in more depth in the book. And it's just the idea of persistence in a relationship is so important, like sticking in it and being committed. I feel like in a day and age where it's so easy just to, I use the basketball analogy about flipping jerseys, you know, it's so easy to want to go to another team. The idea of persistence in a relationship is so important.
I look forward to reading it. Are you guys good now? Everything good?
We're great. We're great.
All right. Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, and congratulations for willing to be so open about a topic that most of us would never talk about publicly.
Thank you, man. Thank you.